On page 32, it talks about how our consciousness is part of this breaker society that we're creating. It is part of how we're creating a mess in the world. And if we can change our consciousness, we can change society. And so all of us have some consciousness that makes more of a mess. Okay. My belief system, that is my human belief system, is that I don't live in always an abundant world where all my needs are fulfilled in every aspect. And if I can be in that consciousness, which I am, just not all the time, but once I can change that consciousness to be more of an expression of it, that would actually change making a mess in the world. So interesting. I would become more of a mender as I change my consciousness. And so I'm asking you, how do your needs, your belief system, play into making a mess in the world? And what kind of consciousness would be needed to be a member? Interesting. Page 44, it says, part of your spiritual starvation lies in being unreconciled to what you are. Now here he's talking about sometimes we want to be more like some celebrity we see, or a neighbor that we think lives a better life, or I don't know, whatever is the other that we think our life might be better. And I think we do this, and I also think that our spiritual starvation is just not understanding our own divinity. Once we are an expression of that divinity, I think our spiritual starvation starts to go away. Page 47 hit me because I have to admit sometimes I can be a little bit critical. And so on page 47, your negative feeling has little to do with the other person. It emerges from the discontent with the reality of your own life. Ooh! The negative feeling is not a feeling directed towards others. It is a feeling directed against yourself. The feeling arises when you are not reconciled to the fact of what you are. I would add to that what you are and who you are. And this quote is from Vimalya Thakar. I'm not sure I'm saying that right. But yeah, I think all of my problems, or a lot of my opportunities for change, have to do with recognizing this. Just recognizing this fact is that I am being critical of another, but I'm really being critical of myself. Interesting. Page 60 is talking about Uganda and the need for water, and how we really have a need for spiritual, for the sacred. So on page 60, I changed the wording a little bit. There is only one way to help Kirti. Teach her body to absorb water again. This is done by introducing very inexpensive chemicals to her drinking water by means of an oral hydration packet. Similarly, the only way to help someone who is spiritually starved is to teach him or her how to absorb love, how to absorb the sacred, perhaps for the first time. The Buddha said we learn not from our experience, but from our capacity to experience. What happens if we never develop the capacity to experience love, fulfillment, the sacred? I think this is a job of myself and you to help people with the capacity to experience love. The capacity to experience love, the sacred. I'm going to put that up, that's what all my talks should be doing. Just having people experience love. On page 75, inclusivity, moving beyond fear. What does that mean to you? Moving beyond fear may be the single most important thing that you can do for yourself and the planet. What would it mean to never have fear? Wow, never have fear. What would it mean to have all our actions, all our belief systems move from a place of wholeness and oneness? And if we loved ourselves and we knew our own divine capacity, we wouldn't have fear, would we? Wow. So, I guess this is just a place for us to look at. As you go about this next week, just when fear thoughts come up, just take a look at them and affirm they're not there. Affirm they give you no power. Do a denial if you need to. Whatever you're being fearful, affirm it loses the power of that fear. And then do an affirmation. Because as we move out of fear, we move into our place of oneness. I know I'm just skipping around, but I just sort of wanted to highlight different things. Chapter 4 says, stop blaming others. You are the problem. Oh, that's a hard one to take, isn't it? That I might be the problem. I might be the problem of my belief systems. I might be the problem of creating a world that works for all. Because we have to write a new script, don't we? We have to write a new script. And we are all writing a new script, though, because we're moving on this ministerial path. We're all writing a new script. But the biggest thing is that we do have to empty ourselves of old ideas, old belief systems, so that we have room to open up our minds to new insights and new information. And the only way we can open up to the new is to empty ourselves of the old. So the question I have to pose to myself is where do I need to move out of? Where do I need to move? As I'm sitting there asking this, I'm thinking my next question, what sacred cow or belief system do you have? What sacred cow or belief system do I have? I think I have a little bit of a sacred cow or belief system that religions or people that pray to a God outside of themselves are sort of not doing it right. I, for some reason, have it right, but they don't. Um, if they believe in that old-time God that has the white beard, yeah, I think that might be an old, outmoded belief system I have. And what belief system would be able for me to write a new, more inclusive script? It would probably be, oh, I'm going to empty that out. I'm going to just turn the cup and drain it. And I'm going to put in a belief system in that cup that says, whatever spiritual path, as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, whatever spiritual path people are walking on is okay, is right for them. And if they have a spiritual calling to believe differently, then they will show up in my path. But if not, I should just let them walk their path. That might be a belief system that I empty and a new belief system that I come into. On page 103, let's see what page 103 says here. 103. A world that works for the center. I don't know what I have here. I think I have the wrong... Wait, sorry about that. Oh, okay. So here it's talking about the Esalen Empowerment Group. And they were empowering 3 people. They had 3 statements of empowerment, 3 questions. And when I was reading through this, I thought, maybe we should have some questions when we're giving talks, when we're ministering. So the question 1, who are we giving talks to? Who are we ministering to? Question number 2, why do we want to minister to them? Why do we want them to hear our message? Why do we want them to understand our message? And then the third question is, how do I unveil their divinity? How do I unveil their divinity? So as you give a talk, maybe these are some of the questions that you should have. Maybe, maybe not. It's an option. Page 107, I liked that we're talking about Sam and Bubba, who had, I could think they were, I'm not sure if they were supremacist or what. They were definitely conservative politically, okay. But we have to, if we're trying to make changes, we have to look at things differently, don't we? Because we've been asking Sam and Bubba, this is straight from the book, we've been asking Sam and Bubba to change for the sake of people they don't know and perhaps don't like. No one wants to be pressured, shamed, and manipulated into change for someone else's sake. This effort creates its own resistance. The most effective way to promote change is to show a person that it is in his own self-interest. Okay, his own self-interest. So where would you like to see change? Where would you like to see change? Who would you like to see changed? And when you answer those 2 questions, is there a way to promote their own self-interest? I think oftentimes we try to promote people's self-interest by, oh, I'm going to punish you if you don't change in the way I want you to. Okay? And what they're saying is where we can see deep change is when we appeal to the heart, when we appeal to the heart, when we appeal to their values. And compassion is the most potent, powerful force for positive change. Compassion. Compassion of trying to make change for other people's suffering. Page 130. Oh, I like this. And that keeper, breakers, and mentor consciousness within each of us. So it goes through the different sets of consciousness. And what I like about this is that we're honoring where we have been, and we're also knowing where we are going. Honoring where we've been and knowing where we're going. So, one of my students I was talking to asked me a question. So when bad things happen to people, what is the good? What is the good in that? For me, when thinking about that question, I think the first thing is to acknowledge always that it hurts. The bad really, really hurts. And until we allow that to settle in, okay, we don't have to wallow in it, but we do have to allow for us to feel it. Then we can look at what is the good. What is the good of this situation? And I don't think good is always there. Well, let me phrase that differently. Good is always there, but we have to realize it. And without the realization of the good in the situation, I'm not sure there is good. But when we realize the good, when we realize that this situation occurred, where can I find the good? Then we'll find it in any situation. I think where we don't see the good is when we try to rush into it. We try to move into it without really feeling the pain of it, the pain of what's bad has happened. We have to not breathe it in, but recognize it and empathize with everyone that has been touched by it in all situations. And especially, I think we as unity ministers recognize how bad it is for the perpetrators of what we would refer to as bad. Okay? Because no one actually does bad knowing that what they're doing is bad. Everyone does what they think is the good, no matter what it looks like. I hope that helped. I know I might have rambled a little bit, but I think if you go in and feel that question, when bad things happen, what is the good? You'll know the answer if you give yourself time to emotionally feel whatever sadness is in that bad. All right. Now we get into the heart of the book, page 51. Being a mender, an activist for an inclusive society is a spiritual discipline. A spiritual discipline. That is something. I want to make sure I'm still... Okay, I want to just make sure I'm still videoing this. We practice a different kind of spirituality, the spirituality of turbulent times. Working to alleviate suffering is the way we practice our faith. We try not to act from anger or fear. We act because in this life we have been given, we believe we can help make things better. Acting out of our compassion to lessen suffering and improve the lives of others is the way we celebrate the Spirit. Knowing that each of our acts, however small, builds the vitality of the web of life, brings us joy, satisfaction, and power, divine power. In the Spirit-driven model, it doesn't matter whether a person is successful in changing the condition. Success doesn't mean I've saved an endangered species or cleaned up a toxic waste dump or have fed hungry children. Success means awakening in myself a spirit that can help make a better life for others. Success means I have acted in the world as though I were a part of it, not apart from it. Success means being conscious and faithful to my values and to my soul. Wow. So then it goes on to say, compassion. Compassion is a call to action on page 167. Someone said that our calling is a place where our deepest joys intersect with the deepest needs of the earth. I add further definition of our calling, where our inner joy and our inner terror meet. Our calling is our place of both joy and sacrifice. What risks are the earth and her families asking of us? This man, he says, I love speaking to groups, but I also experience a moment of terror every time I do so. Now he asks, what is your terror? There lies the direction of your compassion. There lies the direction of your compassion. So, how can we make the commitment and then act? Okay. We have to consciously connect and move out of what is in the physical. And so we first have to, through prayer and meditation, move into the service to the world, where we connect with others. We do need something. We need something that's larger than our physical lives, don't we? And the goal is to become a mender. Are you going to be a mender? The goal of menders is to transform themselves and to transform society. The goal of menders is to transfer themselves and to transform society. So what the book is asking, and I'm asking, is right now for each of you to make a commitment, a pledge to inclusivity. A pledge to inclusivity. And inclusivity is going to be wherever you are not. So there's that area of inclusivity that in my mind's eye, I'm like, oh, that doesn't really count. That's the thing. The thing that you will be threatened by. You're taking the mender pledge to break your consciousness, your breaker behavior, your overly consumptive and soul-emptying lifestyle. Puts it pretty bluntly out there. So make the commitment and then act. Action makes the pledge real, visible to yourself and others. Make a pledge to make an inclusive society. Whatever area that you feel called to. Okay? And know that just by making the pledge, you will be called to action. And as you're called, here's the thing, as you're called, you have to move your feet. You have to move your feet, okay? Because I know for myself, it's easy to theologically go, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And somebody said, the biggest action is worth, or something about the biggest action, the smallest act is worth than 1,000,000 thoughts. The smallest act is worth more than 1,000,000 thoughts. So I, Reverend Curtis Cesarato, Reverend Curtis Cesarato, pledge to inclusivity, and I pledge to act on this. And so it is. All right. This is our last week together. Well, for some of you, it's our last week together. For others, I might have a few more weeks because of circumstances. But I honor each of you on your path. I have been very joyfully blessed to have you as my students. I can't tell you how much you have taught me. And I appreciate my divine self, all that I have taught you. So blessings as you move into the future, and I do see the divine in you. Blessings.